The private lounge was hidden beneath the city, the kind of place that didn't exist on any map and never appeared in emergency evacuation plans. No signage, no address, just a single elevator behind an unmarked door that required 3 separate clearances and a man who never smiled. Low amber lights bled softly across leather-lined walls, casting shadows that moved even when no one else did. The air smelled of expensive whiskey, old money, and secrets that had outlived the people who created them. Lena Voss sat perfectly still. Her fingers were wrapped around the cool glass in front of her, condensation beating slowly against her skin. She hadn't touched the drink in minutes. Not because she didn't want it, but because she needed her hands steady. Control mattered here. Every movement, every pause, every breath. Across from her, Senator Marcus Voss watched her with casual patience. The kind of patience that came from knowing the room belonged to him. Men like Marcus never rushed. They let silence do the work for them. "You've been quiet since you got here, Ms. Voss," he said at last, his voice smooth, almost conversational. "That's not like the woman who once made entire governments sweat." Lena lifted the glass slowly, letting the ice clink once against the crystal. She took a measured sip, the burn grounding her, buying time. Time to choose the right version of herself. Tonight, she wore the lie like a second skin. A disillusioned journalist, burned out, bitter, a woman who had seen too much and decided the world wasn't worth saving anymore. "Maybe I've learned some things since then," she replied evenly. "Like how some stories are better left buried." Marcus leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. The amber light caught in his eyes, turning them almost golden. There was amusement there, interest, hunger, or maybe, he said softly, "You've realized how pointless it is to fight the inevitable." The word lingered between them. Inevitable. Lena met his gaze without blinking. Inside, her pulse ticked faster, each beat echoing memories she kept buried just as deeply as the stories she never told. "That depends," she said calmly, "on who's defining inevitable." Marcus chuckled, a low sound that didn't quite reach his eyes. It was the sound of someone who enjoyed resistance because it made the eventual surrender more satisfying. "You always did have a way with words," he said. "That's why we want you." The word landed heavier than it should have. Lena felt her fingers tighten imperceptibly around the glass. She kept her face neutral, curious rather than alarmed. "We?" she asked. Marcus smiled. And somewhere deep beneath the city, unseen cameras adjusted their focus. The chamber below ground felt colder the moment Lena stepped inside. Concrete walls closed in around her, unfinished and unforgiving. No windows, no clocks, the kind of room designed to make time feel optional, irrelevant. A place where people forgot how long they'd been waiting, or how much they'd already given away. The door shut behind her with a hollow metallic sound that echoed too loudly in her chest. She resisted the urge to turn around. A man stood near the center of the room, arms crossed, posture loose in a way that suggested violence came easily to him. Not impulsive violence, controlled. Efficient. Darius Kane. She recognized him immediately, even though they'd never met. Men like him didn't stay invisible for long. They left impressions, scars, empty spaces where people used to be. His gaze swept over her slowly, like a blade testing its edge. "You don't belong here," he said flatly. Lena raised an eyebrow, letting a hint of dry amusement touch her lips. "Funny, your boss seemed to think otherwise." Darius stepped closer, close enough that she could see the faint scar cutting through his eyebrow, pale against darker skin. Close enough to feel the heat of him, the tension coiled beneath his calm exterior. "Voss likes broken things," he said. "He thinks he can fix them." His eyes hardened. "Me?" he continued. "I prefer to discard what's useless." The words were deliberate, meant to provoke. Lena didn't flinch, didn't blink. She studied him as if he were a puzzle she hadn't yet decided was worth solving. Something like disappointment flickered across his face. Without another word, he reached into a folder and tossed it onto the metal table between them. The papers slid apart with a soft, papery whisper. An autopsy report. Her husband's name stared back at her in black ink. Ethan Voss. For a heartbeat, the room tilted. Lena felt the air leave her lungs, felt the familiar ache bloom behind her ribs, the one that never really faded, no matter how many years passed. Darius watched carefully as the color drained from her face. "Tell me about him," he said. The room seemed to shrink. Lena forced air back into her lungs, slow and controlled. She refused to look down again. She refused to give him that satisfaction. "What's there to say?" she replied evenly. "A car accident. End of story." Darius smiled. "It wasn't kind. Funny," he said. "The report says the brakes were cut." Silence swallowed the room whole. For half a second, just half, Lena's carefully constructed mask cracked. Not enough for anyone else to notice. But enough. That was all he needed. They left her alone after that. No explanation, no threats, just the quiet hum of electricity behind the walls and the sense that she was being watched even when no one was visible. Time stretched. Her thoughts wandered despite her efforts to keep them in check. Ethan's laugh. Ethan's hands. The way he used to say her name like it was something fragile. The lights cut out without warning. Darkness pressed in from all sides. Then the speaker crackled to life. "Lena," her blood turned to ice. She knew that voice. "You shouldn't have come looking for me." Distorted, warped, but unmistakable. Her husband's voice. "No," she whispered, the word barely audible. "That's impossible." The door locked with a sharp mechanical click. And somewhere in the darkness, someone laughed. The city never learned the truth about what burned beneath it. They called it an electrical failure, a containment breach, a tragedy with no survivors worth naming. Lena Voss watched the news from a quiet apartment 3 floors above a closed laundromat, her reflection faint in the darkened television screen. The anchor smiled too easily, his tone reassuring in the way only practiced liars could manage. "Authorities assure the public there is no ongoing threat." Lena muted the volume. There was always an ongoing threat. She flexed her fingers, still stiff from smoke and adrenaline. The data drive sat on the table beside her. Small, unassuming, and capable of unraveling everything. Darius Kane was dead. At least, that was the version being sold. She hadn't stayed long enough to confirm it. You never stayed long enough to confirm anything in this world. Her phone buzzed. No number, no carrier, just text, unknown. "You should not have walked away." Her jaw tightened. She typed back a single word. "Lena, neither should you." 3 dots appeared, then vanished. Lena didn't sleep that night. She mapped exits, timed footsteps in the stairwell, counted the seconds between passing headlights. The city outside hummed with distant sirens and unseen movement. At 3:17 a.m., the power flickered. At 3:18, the building went silent. Too silent. She grabbed her bag and slipped into the hallway as emergency lights buzzed weakly overhead. The laundromat below was dark, machines frozen mid-cycle, clothes dripping steadily onto cold tiled floors. And someone was waiting. He stood between the rows of dead machines, half lit by the glow of a flickering exit sign. "Ethan, or one of them. You're early," Lena said quietly, her voice steady despite the storm in her chest. "So are you," he replied. They stood several feet apart, mirrors of tension and distrust, the air between them heavy with unspoken questions. "Which version are you?" she asked. He smiled faintly, something old and sad in the expression. "The one that remembers dying." Lena's grip tightened on her bag. That wasn't comforting. Ethan looked wrong, not in any obvious way, not at first. His face was the same, down to the faint crease near his left eye that deepened when he smiled. His posture, the way he shifted his weight slightly onto his back foot, even the cadence of his breathing, all of it matched the man Lena had loved. That was the most terrifying part. Because her instincts, sharp, battle-tested, rarely wrong, were screaming at her to run. "You're not real," Lena said quietly. The words echoed softly through the darkened laundromat, bouncing off metal drums and tiled walls. Somewhere, water dripped steadily from an overloaded washer, the sound far too loud in the silence. Ethan tilted his head, studying her the way someone studies a familiar photograph they don't quite remember taking. "I feel real," he replied. "Doesn't that count for something?" Lena swallowed. It would have, once. She circled him slowly, keeping a careful distance. Her hand never left the strap of her bag, fingers brushing the outline of the drive-in side. Insurance. Leverage. A loaded gun without a trigger. You died, she said. I identified your body. Ethan's jaw tightened. I know, he said. I remember the pain. I remember the smell of burning rubber. I remember thinking, this isn't how it's supposed to end. His voice faltered just slightly. Lena stopped walking. That detail wasn't public. It wasn't even in the files. He'd whispered it once, years ago, during a sleepless night when grief still felt like a living thing between them. She felt something inside her fracture. Who did this to you? She asked. Ethan hesitated. And in that hesitation, Lena saw it. Not deception, confusion. They told me it was for continuity, he said slowly. That death was a variable, not a conclusion. Her pulse thundered in her ears. Who told you that? She pressed. The lights flickered. For half a second, Ethan's expression changed. Not his face, but something behind it. A flicker of static beneath skin. Marcus, he said. And Darius. Lena exhaled sharply through her nose. Of course. They moved through the city like ghosts. Not together, not openly. Ethan stayed 3 steps behind her, always just far enough away that anyone watching might mistake him for a stranger. Lena took back streets and service corridors, places without cameras, places that still smelled like oil and rust and forgotten lives. She didn't ask where he'd been hiding. She already knew the answer. Nowhere, everywhere. They reached an abandoned transit hub beneath the old financial district. The platform lights buzzed weakly overhead, illuminating cracked concrete and faded route maps that no longer matched the city above. This is far enough, Lena said. Ethan stopped. So this is where you decide whether to kill me, he said quietly. She turned to face him. I already decided not to, she replied. That doesn't mean I trust you. He nodded. I wouldn't either. She studied him in silence, letting the seconds stretch. You said continuity, she said. Explain. Ethan's eyes drifted toward the dark tunnel ahead. They call it the Ghost Protocol, he said. A redundancy system. When someone critical is lost, they're restored. Cloned? Lena asked. No, he said. Copied. Her stomach dropped. Memories, neural pathways, emotional patterns, he continued. Snapshots taken at different intervals. Stored, updated, deployed when necessary. Lena closed her eyes briefly. How many? She asked. Ethan didn't answer right away. Ethan, she warned. I don't know, he said. But I've seen others. Versions that woke up screaming. Versions that didn't wake up at all. Her chest tightened. And you? She asked softly. What version are you? He met her gaze. I'm the one who remembers you leaving the kitchen light on, he said. The one who remembers how you hate the sound of clocks ticking at night. The one who remembers dying and wondering if you'd be okay. Her throat burned. That's not proof, she said, even as part of her broke open. No, he agreed. It's just truth. Weren't alone. Lena felt it before she saw it, the subtle shift in the air, the pressure change that came when predators entered the room. Darius Kane stepped into the light at the far end of the platform, clapping slowly. Well, he said, this is touching. Ethan stiffened. You're supposed to be dead, Lena said coldly. Darius smiled. Continuity, he replied. Remember? Behind him, figures emerged from the shadows. Too many, identical, all Ethan. Each one stood with the same posture, the same face, the same eyes, except some were hollow. Others angry, a few looked afraid. Lena's breath caught. This is what they took from me, Ethan whispered. From us. Darius gestured broadly. Project Lazarus, he said. Proof that death is inefficient. Lena's hands curled into fists. You're playing God, she said. Darius shrugged. God never scaled well. The duplicates stepped forward in unison. And then, the lights cut out. Gunfire shattered the darkness. Screams echoed down the tunnels. Lena grabbed Ethan's arm and ran. They didn't stop until their lungs burned and the world narrowed to sound and motion. When they finally collapsed behind a maintenance door, the silence felt unreal, fragile. Ethan slid down the wall, breathing hard. "I'm not supposed to feel guilt," he said suddenly. "They removed it, said it interfered with performance." Lena crouched in front of him. "But you do," she said. He nodded. "Every time I see them," he whispered. "Every version that didn't make it." She rested a hand on his shoulder. "They didn't fail," she said. "They were murdered." Something shifted in his expression. Resolve. Above them, the city moved on, unaware that its dead were walking, that its leaders were rewriting the meaning of life itself. Lena looked at the data drive in her bag. The truth was heavy, and it was running out of time. The city began to fracture before dawn. Lena watched it happen from the rooftop of a condemned office tower, wrapped in fog and the smell of wet concrete. Sirens stitched red lines through the streets below. Helicopters circled without patterns. Power grids flickered like dying stars. The truth had weight, and once released, it crushed everything beneath it. Ethan stood a few feet away, hands resting on the ledge, staring down at a world that no longer made sense to him. "I wasn't built for this part," he said quietly. Lena didn't look at him. "No one is," she replied. The data drop had gone live less than an hour ago. Raw files, unfiltered logs, biometric footage ripped straight from Project Lazarus servers. No commentary, no framing, just evidence. Governments denied it immediately. Corporations issued apologies without admissions. Markets collapsed anyway, because people recognized faces, leaders they had buried, heroes they had mourned, men and women who had died, and walked back into power without explanation. Lena closed her eyes. She had wanted justice. What she'd unleashed was reckoning. Moved before the lockdown completed. Old tunnels, service elevators, forgotten stairwells that still smelled like dust and oil and something faintly metallic, fear, maybe, soaked into the bones of the city. Ethan followed silently, too silently. She noticed it when they reached the sublevel entrance beneath the civic complex. His steps didn't echo the way hers did. His breathing never caught. "You don't get tired," she said. "No," he admitted, "but I remember what it feels like." She nodded once and kept going. Marcus Voss was already broadcasting when they breached the perimeter. Every screen, public and private, carried his image. Calm, controlled, the same measured cadence that had reassured nations for decades. "My fellow citizens," he said, voice smooth as glass, "what you are witnessing is a coordinated psychological attack." Lena watched from behind cover as guards scrambled, unsure who they were protecting anymore. Marcus continued. "Project Lazarus does not exist," he said. "What exists is fear, and fear, when weaponized, becomes chaos." Ethan's jaw tightened. "He's lying," he said. "Yes," Lena replied, but not to himself. They moved. Gunfire followed. Not chaos, precision. Marcus had always believed in efficiency. They reached the control level just as the broadcast ended. Marcus stood alone at the center of the room, hands folded behind his back, watching a wall of data collapse in real time. He didn't turn when they entered. "I wondered which version of you would come," he said calmly. Lena raised her weapon. "You killed my husband," she said. Marcus finally faced her. "No," he replied. "I preserved him." Ethan stepped forward. "You erased me," he said. Marcus studied him with mild curiosity. "You were never singular," he said. "You were an iteration." Lena felt something cold and steady settle inside her. "You taught me once that power survives by convincing people they're replaceable," she said. "You forgot one thing." Marcus arched a brow. "What's that?" "People remember." She fired, not at him. At the server core, the room screamed as systems failed. Alarms howled. Lights burst overhead, plunging them into red emergency glow. Marcus staggered back, shock cracking his composure for the first time. "You don't understand what you're destroying," he snapped. "This was continuity, stability." "No," Ethan said quietly. "It was theft." Marcus turned on him. "You think you're alive?" he sneered. "You're a shadow wearing a man's face." Ethan didn't flinch. "Then why am I choosing?" he asked. He stepped forward and placed his hand against the final terminal. Lena realized what he was doing too late. "No," she said. "There has to be another way." He looked at her then, really looked. "I remember loving you," he said softly. "That's enough." The system surged and burned. Marcus screamed as containment failed, not from pain, but from terror. For the first time in his life, there was no backup, no replacement, no continuity. The world didn't end, it fractured. Truth always did that first. Marcus Voss was arrested hours later at a private airstrip, screaming about versions and futures no one could see anymore. This time, there were no replacements waiting in the wings. Project Lazarus collapsed under its own revelations. Trials followed, then silence. Lena disappeared. She didn't want interviews, or book deals, or absolution. She wanted quiet. Months later, she lived near the ocean, where the air smelled clean and the waves erased footprints without asking questions. She wrote again, not propaganda, not fear. Truth. One night, 3 soft taps came at the door. She opened it. He stood there. Guard. Changed. Real. "What are you?" she whispered. He searched for the words. "I'm what survived," he said. "Not the program, not the plan, just what was left." She touched his face. Warm. Human. "Do you remember me?" she asked. He nodded. "Not everything," he said. "But I remember choosing you." Tears fell freely. They stood together as the waves crashed endlessly against the shore. Some stories demanded to be told. Others demanded to be lived. The camera pulls back. Ink on paper. A future unwritten. Fade to black. If you were in this situation, what would you have done differently? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more original stories, new worlds, new choices, every week.